And she is a clinical pharmacist at the VA hospital and a widow and a single mom. So Alisha, without further ado, I'll hand it over to you.
Well, good evening. Good evening. Thank you for having me. I appreciate everybody for joining in and taking the time to listen to me tonight. The topic, of course, is work-life balance, and I wanted to, I guess, get a poll of, the environments that we're working in now. As you mentioned, I am a clinical pharmacist, so I am actually working in a hospital right now. So I'm not working from home, but I just wanted to know how many people are actually working from home and or going into an office or a building right now.
Uh,
Anybody? Is everybody?
I'm in the building temporary. I'm in transportation.
Okay, okay. All right. Anybody else?
I have to go into the office one day out of the week right now, but mostly I work from home.
Okay. So work-life balance is pretty much, what it is. It's just being able to create a balance between your work life and your home life. And for me, that's something that I've always struggled to achieve. And just when I had it down, life changed and, things happened. But it was always important for me to realize that, that my job was important, but my family life was important as well. And I like to add in my mental health and my wellness to make that all, like a complete circle. So, what I wanted to focus on, what I thought was important was, I wanted to do well professionally, but I also wanted to do well, in my family life and in my personal life. So as, we mentioned, I do have my pharmacy career, but I also have a hobby, which has turned into another part-time, full-time job, which allowed me to kind of create some type of balance with work and home and my personal life. So there are a lot of reasons that we tend to have a poor work-life balance. And for me, I found that I was an overachiever. And it was like when I got a job, and I have had work history as a pharmacist for 17 years, but even before that, I worked right out of high school. So I was always working, always wanted to have a job, and I always wanted to do my best. So being at work, for me, doing my best always equaled working longer, working later, taking more responsibility, doing more, being that overachiever. And over time, I realized that, while I was doing great for things for the company, I was doing more harm to myself because, I was spending these long hours at work. I wasn't able to spend time with my friends, my loved ones, do things that I enjoyed. And I was kind of at a crossroads because it was like, okay, do I want to be this, you know, get this good promotion or have this raise, or do I want to be happy? And could I have both? And at the time, it was like I didn't think that I could have both. So that turned into me working, resenting my coworkers who were able to come to work and leave. And one of my coworkers said something to me one day, and she said, Alisha, you have to leave work at work. You go to work and you do your job and you go home. And she's like, that job is there. You have timeline. You work your hours 8 to 5. You do your best, but then you go home and you leave it there. And when she said that, I was like, she's kind of right. And at the time, I wasn't married. I didn't have a child. So it was like, okay, well, I'm single. I don't have anything else to do. So, I mean, I could just work. But I started to realize that there was so much more to do besides work. And, over time, my health had suffered. I started having anxiety, weight gain, because I was sitting at my desk all day, snacking, was working through lunch. I was having panic attacks. I had to call my mother, at times because, I was just so anxious trying to accomplish turning these reports and get that, gold star or get that praise from my employer. And I realized that, I had to really take time and, figure out what success meant to me. A lot of people think success is just checking this box and, getting this promotion, or, getting all this money, or, just having all the things that everybody else says is, successful. And I had to learn that my quality of life was, more important than, just completing all these tasks, getting, these accolades, and, having my name just being employee of the week or something like that. So work-life balance really came into play. I started leaving work early, meaning when the time that I was supposed to leave. My cell phone, I would take calls from coworkers, from my boss on the weekends. It was just at that point that I decided to cut that out. I mean, I wasn't getting paid for it. It was just things that I was just taking on. And over time, I began to see that, I was a much happier person. That's what my friends say. I was I was much happier. I wasn't as stressed. And, I was able to exercise and take care of myself. So at that moment, I felt that I had achieved the, perfect work-life balance. Then I got married, and then I had a baby. So of course, things shift all over again, because, as a single woman, it was different. I was just working, going home. I can hang out with friends. I can, go to exercise class. But then I now had a husband and a baby, which is like two babies, So I had to, again, make adjustments, and realize that I had to determine whether or not my work schedule, would fit my family life. Would my work schedule accommodate my personal needs? It was just a lot of things that I had to take into consideration. And I changed jobs. I mean, and I know that not everyone can, change a job, but it was just, I began looking, because I knew that I didn't want to put myself into in that place again where I, was unhappy, and that would spill over to home and my family and my, my husband, and then my health. So I looked for another job. It took a while, but while I was at my other job, I started incorporating things throughout the day, like making sure I took breaks, especially us working from home. We're sitting in front of a computer all day. We are, allowed breaks. You should be getting breaks where you can stretch, relieve your eyes. All of those effects can have effects on you looking at a computer screen. You need to stretch, take a walk, go outside, do something. I started just exercising, walking around the school, the office building, with some of my coworkers. We started like a little walking group. So just things like that to build, like work relationships, and then at the same time get some type of exercise, and then take a break and getting away from the work environment. I found that helped me out a tremendous amount. And it was just something that was, simple. Another thing that I learned to do was meditate. Meditation has been very helpful. There are several apps, free apps that you can download. YouTube. I would, put in my earbuds, sit at my desk, and just have like a quiet little Zen moment before I, started work. And that kind of helped me calm down, get in the mindset. And then also when things would happen throughout the day that I may, get anxious about, I would stop and, breathe or do some type of meditation. So that was a tool or a tip that I used a lot. I also worked in retail pharmacy. So that was a very challenging environment where, you have customers, you work in customer service, then, that's not the easiest environment to be in. So I had to learn to kind of count, just like it's very simple. And, we teach kids to count, to 10 or 5, but to just count, to kind of get your mind, get your thoughts together, get your mind frame together, and then calm down. And I found that really helped me out a lot, because you have people coming at you who may say all kind of things right now, especially because we're all stressed out. and we all have things going on. We're all scared. But before I respond to someone, it was more of, okay, let me count. I'll count to 5, count to 10, and then it'll allow me to think about my response and kind of put me in, put me back in to my work mode. Some other tips that I have for creating a better work-life balance would be using your sick time. I know a lot of people struggle with that. For me, when I wanted to be like this high achiever, I didn't want to take days off. So, I would go to work when I wasn't feeling my best, which is obviously not the right thing to do, but I would be exhausted and I would be afraid, or I didn't want to take a vacation. So, you would end it in the year with so many vacation hours and you can get paid out or, whatever they would offer. But I made it a point to take vacation. Like I would check and see how many hours I have left. And my coworkers now joke with me because I call it a mental health day. So every month I'll just take a day off and just say, okay, this is my, I'm taking 8 hours of personal time for a mental health day to relax and to get my mind together and kind of decompress. So, that is a wonderful suggestion that someone gave me. It's to use your sick time, use your vacation time. It's yours. You earned it. Make sure you use it and don't feel guilty about it. It's also important to remain flexible. For me, I had to learn that I stressed out a lot about trying to meet other people's expectations of me and what I needed to do on a job. I was okay with, yes, I'm meeting the deadlines, but I didn't have to finish it 3 days early. It was more of, okay, I'm going to get the project done. I know what needs to be done. I can plan it out and turn it in. I don't have to finish 5 days early so that, this person can have it on their desk and they don't have to worry about anything. It was just more of pacing yourself and, setting your goals and your timelines. I'm a big planner. I have about 5 or 6 different planners on my desk, and I like to plan out everything. So it's like I will map out my day and my priorities and set goals so that I'm not overwhelmed. And it's more of, I know what I want to accomplish this week, and I'll break it down to where it's, okay, if I have this presentation to do, or if I have some type of project to do, I will map it out to where I have this amount of time allotted to the project. And then that way I don't feel as, overwhelmed or stressed. I also, I shared on the call before you guys joined, I set up a schedule at home. I have a 5-year-old who goes to school or was in school, and everything was by a schedule. So he likes a routine. So we have our allotted time where, I play with him. His nickname is Mojo. We call it Mojo and Mommy time. So he has this 5 o'clock time that he knows that, okay, this is when Mojo and Mommy are going to play. And we play, we do whatever he wants to do. And then, and when it's done, it's done. And then I'm able to set aside some time. And I tell him, well, this is Mommy's time. And this is time for me. So, this is how I create a balance between everything else that's going on in the world and, taking time for myself. So that's something that I'm really big on. Aside from my pharmacy life, I am a life coach, and I teach women to put themselves first. So, work-life balance also involves putting yourself first. So, you have your job, you have your career, you have your family, but you want to make sure that you put yourself at the top of that to-do list every day. And for me, it's more important to recognize that. Like when you wake up, to just really think about what you need to accomplish for the day, but also try to make sure you focus on yourself and try to do one thing, at least one thing that makes yourself a priority for the day. And then I call it just setting your intention, just what, think about what you're going to do for yourself for the day. And it doesn't have to be big, but I mean, for me, like I'm trying to drink more water. So I'll just say, okay, I'm going to drink all this water today. I'm going to cross this XYZ, this one thing off my to-do list, or I'm going to walk today, or I'm not going to eat those French fries today. So it's just something that I can do to kind of put myself first and make myself a priority. I try to start my day with that. And I think that that helps me kind of get in the mindset of balance, you know, because, you know, we wear different hats. We are moms, wives, friends, you know, coworkers, we have our jobs. And it's just that you want to make sure that you stay true to yourself. Like I always want to make sure that I don't forget about myself, especially with my recent, the loss of my husband. I lost my husband in December, and I went from, you know, having my husband in the home to help with my son to being a single mom. So for me, my entire life changed again. I had a 2-parent household, and now, you know, it's now just me and my son, and I have my parents to help. So that's another shift in work-life balance. My work schedule varies, and I had to just, you know, make a shift and just adjust to different work schedules. And I work weekends and I work holidays, and, you know, just trying to find childcare is, you know, it's something that I struggle with, and I have to, you know, use my resources and, you know, ask my parents to help. So it's a lot of things that come up, you know, in day-to-day life. And it's just about, you know, trying to figure out how to manage it. I don't have all the answers, but, you know, I just try to think about, you know, what I could do to make the situation better, because in the end, you know, it's your health and your well-being that's important. And I've learned to say no, and to take my time and take time off. Just like I mentioned with, you know, my vacations and my, you know, paid time off at my job. I'm just very honest and transparent. You know, I have a son, and you know, at this time, I may need to use a personal day because I don't have anyone to watch him, and I don't feel guilty. You know, before I would be stressed out about it and try to figure out a way that I could work, and, you know, it would impact my productivity because I would be so worried about, you know, what would be going on at home, or, you know, how he was. So I just can't stress enough that just trying to implement work-life balance in your life can make a huge difference. One of the other things that I found was, you know, finding a job that you love. In the beginning, like I mentioned, I didn't have a job that I loved. When I graduated from pharmacy school, I picked retail pharmacy because that's all that they had. And that's the easiest job that we could all get fresh out of school. And it was horrible. It was long hours. We didn't eat lunch. We hardly ever had a chance to go to the bathroom. It was a very unpleasant experience, but almost all of us do that because we can't find anything else. So, I mean, it took me a long time I've been a pharmacist for 17 years, and I just started working at the VA. It's just made 2 years. So it took that long for me to find a job that worked with was ideal in terms of work-life balance and scheduling. So, I mean, I just had to figure out a way to implement things at work to help me kind of cope and maintain my, I would say, sanity, because it wasn't the ideal job. But sometimes you just have to figure out ways to cope with those type of environments. I already mentioned taking a vacation, prioritizing your health. Again, mental health is very important. I think it's something that's often overlooked. And I would especially say, as an African-American woman, that was something that I wasn't receptive to early on, until, you know, I became older. And I'm glad that I was able to seek out therapy so that I could have someone to talk to, because we oftentimes have this idea that, you know, we are supposed to be strong and we can't ask for help. So I have regular therapy appointments, and you know, it's for me, it's been great to help manage like my anxiety and depression. So I would strongly advise to, you know, prioritize health, um, especially during the pandemic. Let's see. So making time for yourself and your loved ones, like as I mentioned, just trying to remember that you were a person or individual before you took your job. So any hobbies or anything that you love to do, I would definitely say it shouldn't have to stop because you have a job. You know, find a way to still, you know, make those meetings. I'm in a sorority, so I try to make the meetings, or you know, try to stay doing the things that I was doing before, like book clubs and, you know, other extra, you know, other things that I was doing outside of work before I got the job. Your job shouldn't be your entire life. Just like I had mentioned before, I just wanted to be that perfect employee and it was taking over my life. And now, you know, it's a job. I really do treat it as a job where I'm at work from this time to this time and I'm not staying. I mean, I may stay. I mean, I'll be honest, but I don't feel obligated. It's like, you know, I'm leaving. I have to go home. I have to go home to my family. I have things to do. And, you know, that's just the end of it. Um, Setting boundaries and work hours. I think it's also very important when you apply for a job or when you accept the job that you communicate these things with your employer. I often find that we take jobs or we accept jobs because we want them, but we aren't honest and we aren't truthful about, you know, our schedules or, you know, things that we can really do. You know, we tend to say, oh, I'm available every day and I can work holidays and I can work nights, when in actuality you can't, because you may not have childcare, or you may not, you know, it just may be other reasons why you aren't able to work all the hours that you said you would. I found that being honest and, you know, communicating that with your employer up front makes it a lot less stressful, because, you know, then it's not like they were expecting you to work these overnight shifts when you really can't because you don't have any childcare. I also have setting goals and priorities, implementing time management. And I kind of mentioned that a little bit already, like at home and at work. Like I do try to plan out things. My coworkers laugh because like I'll have it down to where I know what time I'm going to lunch. I know what time I'm taking my breaks. And it's all mapped out because it's works for me, you know, and it just kind of sets the tone so that I know that I have this to accomplish today. I know, you know, what time I'm taking my break. And it may be because a little bit I work for the government and they're very strict, and they want you to take your breaks and they want you to take your lunches. So it's like, you know, they're making sure that you get your 30-minute lunch, you get your 15-minute breaks. But for work-life balance, you want to make sure you take that time, and, you know, you have your coworkers honor that. You know, there's a lot of people that I see who are doing working lunches. You know, you're sitting there, you're eating your lunch and you're working, and then there's people come and ask you questions. But I mean, that's your time, you know, and you should ask that your, you know, coworkers be respectful. And I mean, and it's okay to say, hey, you know, can you come back? You know, I'm at lunch right now, and after lunch, you know, I'll go ahead and look at whatever you want me to look at. And I think it's just about respect, and don't be afraid to do that. And then you may encourage your coworker who's trying to work through lunch to, you know, take some time for themselves. And the last thing that I would say is just to give yourself grace. That's something that I had to learn very recently. I would say maybe in the past 7 months, but just give yourself grace and be kind to yourself. You know, the same kindness that you would extend to someone else, extend that to yourself, you know, and just think about that daily. I mean, in everything you do, not just work, but just in your day-to-day life, you know, just give yourself grace. We are right now living in a pandemic. You know, things are totally different. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what our kids are going to be doing as far as school. We don't know how our jobs, you know, what our jobs are going to be like. We're all stressed, and it's just, give yourself grace. And that's what I can leave you with.
Thank you, Alicia. Does anybody have any questions or things that they want to kind of talk about or discuss?
I have one. Alicia, what was your steps in being a life coach?
Well, I did a certification program, and so as far as life coaching, there isn't really a set program, like a degree or anything to become a life coach. You can take courses that'll teach you the specifics of running a life coach program. But for me, I always say that my life experiences that I've had at the age of 40 have qualified me as a life coach. I mean, to be completely open, like I've survived a domestic violence relationship. I've lost a child and recently lost a husband, all before the age of 40. So, me just still standing and continuing on with life, I'm just like, that for me is my qualification as a life coach.
You are a life coach.
Yes.
I've had an interest in that. And I was just wondering, was there a curriculum, one of our local schools that offer the course or something, or, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's several certification programs, but I mean, it teaches you the business as far as, managing clients, things that you would learn, like if you were a counselor, so to say, as, dealing with your clients, but just also maintaining that there's a difference between a life coach and a counselor or a therapist. So it's mainly just recognizing when you would want to send somebody off to a therapist versus helping them as a life coach. So a life coach is there to basically motivate you and assist you in achieving a goal, whereas a therapist is there to help you work through some type of issue or maybe a mental illness. Any other questions? So how's everybody dealing with work in the pandemic right now? Do you find yourself more stressed?
Alicia, I had a question. First, sorry for your loss. I have an issue with creep. It's kind of like the bosses are extending the work, attempting to extend the workday because in their mind you're home. So how would I go about setting healthy boundaries with, this is the normal workday, and I make myself available. But once the work day, the office is closed, this expectation that I should be available after hours. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you are. And I think employers are probably trying to push it, trying to get, this extra work in. But I mean, if it were me, I would, just remind them that, our work hours are, this to this. I mean, are you trying to shift my work hours to whereas, maybe I work the same amount of hours, but, my times are changing, but definitely communicate that, I'm going to maintain the same length of work, time of work hours that I was already doing. And I think that conversation will probably have them realize, okay, she's not gonna, but I mean, I would definitely just bring it up and say, my normal work hours are 8 to 5. Is there some reason, do we need to extend the hours to 10 to 6? Are you trying to make a schedule change in that aspect?
Okay.
Because I'm not clear.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
And my second question is, because I do like planning, but I do find that my to-do list can cause me stress. How do you keep 5 planners straight?
It's hard. But I like planners. So that, I mean, that's the thing. Like I always tell people, like, I'm a Virgo. So for whatever reason, everybody says Virgos are like, they like to plan things out. So I have just planners just everywhere, and they all have pretty much the same thing in them. It's just that I just have this thing with planners. But I'll tell you, like, as far as a to-do list, what I find to work for me is I pick one thing to do. That's it. Like, one thing. And every day it's like, okay, what is the one thing that I need to accomplish today? Because if we write down 20 things, I don't know who's completing a to-do list of 20 things a day. Like I have no idea. If they do, kudos to them. One thing, I do one thing and that's it. And, I find that works so much better. I mean, you think about it, it's 7 things spread out over one week. So if you think about it that way, you can get 7 things done if you just check off one thing a day. And that helps me. It helps me a lot.
Okay, I like that idea. I'm gonna try that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions?
Alicia, I have one last
have a
question.
comment.
I'm curious.
Sure.
You said you're a Virgo. What's your date in September?
September 15th.
Okay, I'm the 13th. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
We're good people.
Yes, we are.
We're good people.
Others don't understand us, but they know they can
No,
depend upon us.
that's right. You want a Virgo on your team. That's what I tell everybody.
Yes.
anybody
I
have
just wanna
anything
say I have a
else?
comment.
Oh,
You talked about mental health is very important that we taken care of because we have to learn how to be balanced. But one of the things I found when I got laid off, I come to realize some of the things that was important to me today is no longer important to me. And during that time off, I had to teach myself. I was taught because life teaches us lessons.
Oh, yes.
A lot of things that I used to value then, today, I could really care less about it. Sometimes in life when you go through different changes, we have to learn how to prioritize what's important and what's not important. And also just to piggyback on when you talked about the mental health, I've run across a lot of people in the Christian realm who would like to go to counseling, but I don't think there's enough of, besides the pastors, I don't think there's a whole lot of Christian counselors. Everybody don't like going to regular therapy. Some people prefer going to Christian counseling, which that is okay. But if there are any, it's not a whole lot of them. Like you could just go to a list and say, oh, I'm gonna go to thus and thus. If I had to go to counseling, I would rather go to Christian counseling because of my personal preference.
I mean, I can definitely, agree with you when you said, life changes. Absolutely. Especially for me, like the things that I used to value and deem important have definitely shifted for me. Mental health, I speak to my pastor as well, in addition to my therapist. So, I mean, I've never asked, about her values, but I can understand where you would, want someone whose religion or Christian values align with yours. And maybe a pastor would be able to recommend someone. I know within my church, we kind of know who, with physicians or members, which, who has what profession. So maybe within your church, you could find someone who has a connection to a therapist or someone in that circle.
Right, right.
well, Jasmine, how's your work-life balance feel?
I'm pretty good right now. It's just hard right now to get out of bed in the morning because I work from home.
Oh.
And so, but other than that, it's pretty good. I don't have a lot of work right now because I'm still working on a new project, so I'm learning it. So I'm not really stressed. So I think I'm good on work-life balance.
Good. Good. Well, Alisha, if you had like one piece of advice to leave with us as a life coach, as a mom, as a working woman, what do you think? Like one strong takeaway for everybody here would be before we.
One of the things, like I mentioned today with a client, was it's okay to say no. Like you can still be a good person and say no. And I think that's something that a lot of us struggle with, saying no. So I would be okay with saying no. Like if it's something that doesn't feel right to you or doesn't align with, what you're doing, or if it, doesn't give you peace, say no.
Yeah, that's awesome. Especially now, I feel like, being able to say no is almost harder than, agreeing to things. So
Yes.
being able to set those boundaries can be so
Yes.
important.
Boundaries.
Yeah. All right. Well, if nobody has any other questions or anything, we will definitely not keep you here in this virtual realm. Let you get back to real life. But thank you all so much for hopping on, and thank you, Alicia, so much
You're
for sharing.
Thank
Um,
you.
You're welcome. You're
We will
welcome.
get to see you all in person someday soon.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
everybody go follow Alicia on Instagram for those words of wisdom.
Alicia, is your
do.
handle just your name, Alicia Reed?
It's Fly with Alisha Reed.
Why is Alicia Reed? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I have a question right quick. Alicia, are you on LinkedIn?
I am. So it's Alisha Reed. So I'm on Facebook. My website is flywithalishareed.com.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Alyssa, Alissa.
Alisha, Alisha.
Okay.
All right.
All right, y'all. Well, everyone have a great night. Stay cool. Drink your water.
Yes, drink your water.
And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good
evening.
night.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.